Chaos, confusion. Here with analysis, Conservative Review contributor Tom Borelli and Democratic strategist and New Jersey Senate candidate Michael Starr Hopkins. You know, last time I checked, Tom, there's always been a lot of turnover in corporate America. It's natural. You know, you have a new CEO that comes in and he or she wants his own team in place, and nobody gets too upset about it. I mean, it's a little rough going, right? Obviously, for an organization, for a culture, to have that bit of upset. But the reality is, you know, everybody takes it pretty much in stride. Not so, though, with the presidency.
That's because we're talking about politics. We're talking about President Trump here. We know anything he does is always a problem for the left-wing media. As you mentioned, the business world. I was in corporate America for 25 years. You get one CEO, it goes one direction, then another CEO comes in, you go to the other direction. That's life. And that with the CEO, when you're thinking about President Trump, that's what he is. He's managing the country, who he is, a business leader. So he'll make the changes that he needs to make. I think we're now in phase two. Phase one, he became president of the United States from the business world. He picked a diverse group of people that he needed to get the ship straight immediately. Now we're going to phase two. He's going to people not only can perform, but also are aligned with his values and his vision. And then there's also the chemistry component, which is always interesting when you're dealing with the CEO. Do you have the right personality, the right communication style? It's really performance, alignment, and chemistry, and that's what we're seeing.
You look at Rex Tillerson perhaps being the most obvious example of a match not made in heaven, shall we say, where Rex kind of felt like he was off on his own island doing his own thing, and the president was elsewhere, and perhaps the secretary was offended when President Trump made the split decision to, yes, sit down with Kim Jong-un. But the reality is, Michael Starr Hopkins, this is in part why voters put him there. They like that spontaneity. They wanted a disruptor-in-chief, somebody who could make his own decisions and not have to consult every Tom, Dick, and Harry in Washington, but actually get something done. Are you upset by the turnover?
I'm not upset, but the turnover does make me nervous. Look, if this is how Donald Trump runs his businesses, and there's no question why he had so many bankruptcies, this isn't normal. And so when you have people...
And a billionaire.
Well, I don't know. Let's see his taxes and find out if he actually is. But when you have people getting escorted out by the police, you have people being fired by Twitter. You know, we have real issues that are going on right now. We have Russia, we have China, we have North Korea, and we need some semblance.
He's doing something on that too.
He's going to have the meeting, but we need some semblance of normality. We need other countries to be able to know where we stand, what our policies are.
Yeah, but you don't want to necessarily, in the interest of semblance of normality, in the interest of how this all looks, Tom, wind up with the wrong people in place.
No, absolutely.
But it's the best people.
No, is it really? I mean, do you think,
I don't think so, but...
he had the best people? He wants the best people for him.
Right. At first, he wanted a diverse group of people, and boy, did he have that. He had everybody from activist Steve Bannon to establishment rights previous. He had everybody in that White House to get the full array of information. Now he's taking a step back and getting the right team because he knows the direction he wants to go. And he knows as a business leader, he can't be at every construction site. He needs the right people to carry that energy forward and his agenda forward. Tillerson they clashed on the climate Paris Accord. They clashed on Iran deal. They clashed on Israel moving our embassy to Jerusalem. I mean, there's clash after clash.
One after another. You know, part of the problem, and I look at that, and who Rex Tillerson is, and look, I think it was amazing to get him. He basically CEO of ExxonMobil. It's like being the president of a country in a way, because you get so many different contingencies there that you got to get on board. But in many ways as well, the typical CEO, and I know because I talk to these folks all the time, the typical CEO is very different than the entrepreneur CEO, Michael, in that the entrepreneur, the one with the vision, is full steam ahead, whereas a lot of CEOs that have risen up through the ranks kind of build consensus and get everyone along the same page. And I can't think of two more different people than Rex Tillerson and Donald Trump.
Absolutely. And, you know, I haven't always agreed with Rex Tillerson, but the air that he gave, it made people comfortable in that he knew what he was doing. He had done his homework. And right now, when we're looking at policies, at 1 minute, the president says there's tariffs for everyone. Then the next minute, he says that there's going to be some exceptions to that. He says, you know, we're not talking to North Korea.
I don't have one single little problem with that, though. Because to me, it's in a way to put everyone on edge. We need to negotiate. And you know me, Michael, you know I'm all for using our economic power at the negotiating table as opposed to military power.
But we have to have a foreign policy. And right now, it just seems like he's reacting to every news cycle. And that's not how you have a country run, especially not the most powerful country in the world.
I don't know if he's reacting to every news cycle other than creating every news cycle.
That may be true.